a Canadian radio sanctuary podcast. Voices of the Valley, vignette. I think very appropriately in the People of the Harrison book, you more or less began with the indigenous people, and which of course they were here long before any of us were. And you mentioned the Scowlets, the Stalis, or as some say, Chehalis, and also a band that I hadn't thought of was the Douglas Band, which of course...
Up at the top of the lake.
Yes, Port
Harrison
Douglas.
Lake.
And also the distinction between what is Coast Salish and the interior Salish. That's very interesting. One thing you touch on, in the 1820s, you made reference to, I found this really interesting, Fort Langley fur traders with the Hudson's Bay Company had an impact on the Harrison indigenous people, even though they live far apart from each other. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, the indigenous people traveled by canoe everywhere rather than by trail. And they were familiar with the river for many miles upwards. I'm sure they helped to guide the anyone like Simon Fraser's party and then later the Fort Langley people. Yes. And also when the missionaries arrived in about 1860, their mode of transportation was by an indigenous canoe, and they went, and that was when they went up the lake very far too, and even put in a church at Port Douglas.
What I found fascinating too, the area of Harrison Mills. Now that was at one time, was it not called Carnarvon?
Carnarvon, yes, it was named after Lord Carnarvon, I think he was, who held an important political position.